have been a little bit bigger than this. The only reason we stick to this is we let kids handle things, and if they get really big and it's too heavy, that happens, and all of a sudden Sister's lost a leg. So what have we got here? So you've got a point. Now that would have been longer, and it's for the eyes, for the legs, for anywhere. The beak straight through a helmet. And if you hammer away your armour like that, eventually it gets weak. That will then go straight through it. And the axe obviously cuts. But it has other uses. Right, what I want you to do is cut down towards the shoulder. Right? Yeah. What you've got to watch is what he's doing with the other hand though. Because once he knows he's not going to hit with that, he's probably got a dagger in that hand. Yeah? Or he'll try and cut. Now if he does that, let him out there.
No win, is there? No win.
No chance at all. But I go by both now.
Yeah, he's getting butch now, isn't he? So, what happens if he hasn't got, hang on, we haven't finished yet. What happens if he hasn't got any weapons? And what you're going to do now, you're going to push the point out towards me here. You step to the side, you turn the wrist, and you take the sword out of his hand. But you've got to watch the left hand, which is why you've got to take him down low. Because if you leave him up high, he can now reach across with the dagger and get me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So, the ordinary man's axe, and this one was so popular that it's still being used in the 18th century. You've got a hammer on the back, which is great for prisoners, bonk, and also tent pegs. A working tool. The other thing is, with these things razor sharp, it's a shaving tool as well. Yeah? And in actual fact, where's the little one? No, he hasn't. It's all right. And there's an axe about that size with a very little head, and all that is a working tool. But this, you've still got that to parry. And the other thing is, Matt, can you pick shield up? That if we're now starting to talk, you can pull down. I know if he's coming forward first, right, with your helmet. Yeah? Don't forget he's not going to stand still while you do all this.
Helmet as well?
Yeah. So it's bloody stuff, mate. Right? And the other thing you can do, if you've got a mate there with a spear, you can open the man up. Yeah? And that way I'm still waiting for his knife. Right? Or I can push that away, but the spear. See how he's going for the wrist now?
Yeah.
So it's a dance all the time between who's fastest, but by the time he got to that, he had the spear in the middle. So all these things had purpose. Yeah? Russell Crowe's favourite, Warhammer. Now, you've got points on there, so it doesn't look much like a hammer, does it? That's intended to weaken armour. Those would have been much more pointed. So you're aiming to hit this 2 or 3 times to make it weak enough to send this through. Don't forget, armour is only 18 gauge. And the reason for that, there were heavier armours, but not many men carried heavy armour, purely and simply because you had to be a really big guy to do it. And 2, if you weren't a big guy, pretty soon it was too heavy to fight in. Yeah? So it's a trade-off between defending yourself with armour and being able to fight, or going for armour that nobody can get through and just standing there, because moving would be a bit like this. No, nobody would do that. So here you have the spike again, eyes, legs. You have the beak, which would go through the armour there or through a helmet, no problem. You have reinforced on the handle. So you have metal here, metal all the way up there, which stops the sword breaking it in half. So now you can parry with a sword and bring the sword down forward. Yeah? And the other weapon, of course, is that if we're fighting and he's sneaking up, I can use the butt end. Yeah? So a war hammer. This is a French mace. This one is made for people in soft clothing. You wouldn't use this on armour because the flukes are too weak and they would collapse. These would have been pointed or chiseled sharp. So we'd use these against men-at-arms, archers, but you wouldn't use it against a knight in armour because it's not powerful enough. The actual size of this would have been about that long, and this head would have been about twice the size. So you can imagine when you hit with that, you take somebody's face off. So it's pretty messy stuff.
Yeah, and then
This one is a flail. If you see them and the ball is stuck to the top, that's a morning star. Yeah? And there's a story about a morning star. There's an archbishop that rode to the Crusades who carried a morning star. Now, the church was not allowed to spill blood. They were not allowed to kill, but they were allowed to go to war. But what he said all the time was, he gave it a name. He called it the Morning Star. Now in Saxon mythology, listen, you've got to stay back there, please. Because you nearly walked into the ball. Right, they called it a Morning Star because the Saxons called the last star in the sky Satan. And it's Satan driving his minions back into hell. So he called his morning star Satan. And when he was asked, he said, I can kill anybody. Satan did it. Which is where morning star comes from. That's how it was given its name. But this is a flail. And the reason it is if you take the ball off and let the chain go to the floor, it's what they used to thrash corn with. Separate the corn from the husk. Yeah? And all they did, you can get these with one ball on, two balls on, or three. Three, you've got to be very careful. Because you can end up hitting yourself if you aren't good with it. It wasn't long before that disappeared, purely and simply because it was made with the sole purpose of breaking shields. So now you have a knight on a horse with that. He has a lance, he's got this on his saddle hook, or an axe, and he's going to ride, and he's going to try, bang, and break that shield. If he can break it, then the other rider's going to throw it away because it's instantly useless. Now that man is vulnerable this side of his horse. The only way I'm going to attack now is up this side, because he's now got to reach over, or he's got to move away. Yeah? So the advantage now is with me. What I'm aiming for is his helm. If I can damage his helm to the point where he can't see, he's a dead man. And if I can knock him off his horse, then I can go over to him. And believe you me, you see all the knights get up when they've been knocked off a horse. And like, if I knocked you off a horse, believe you me, you'd be blowing for a bit. Because it ain't as easy as it looks. But what that doesn't have is great defense. It's good in attack, but outside of that, when armor came along and you didn't need large shields like that and you went to the small buckler, can you pass me the buckler behind you? That's the one. So now we're talking about this. There was no need for that. And that's where you start to see these hung up on castle walls. They look good, but they've had their day. Go in there and get me one of the broad head arrows. The ones we hunt deer with, alright? Slow down, don't run. That first one to do, yeah, any one. That's it. Bring it round carefully. That's lovely. Thank you. So now we're at Agincourt, or the Battle of Crécy, or Poitiers. We have a defensive line. In front of that defensive line, we would throw these. They're called caltrops. And it doesn't matter what you do to them, a point will stick up. They are for man and horse. We always pick them up first because you wouldn't want to step back and get it wrong. Along with that, you can see my lord saying, go out and dig holes so the horse puts his leg in it and breaks his leg. And you can see the peasant looking at my lord and saying, all right, my lord, how big do you want the hole then? And he said, about the size of a pot, which is where you get the word potholes. It comes from the ancient battles. Yeah?
Ah.
So we've got caltrops, we've got potholes, and we've got so many of the archers that are told that when the enemy advances, that they will only shoot at horse. Yeah? Now, how does it work then? Okay, so let's say you've got your long defensive line there, and you've got archers on this flank and archers on that flank, and maybe just a few in the middle that are sniping. Yeah, if people get close, they're looking for people to lift their masts and that kind of stuff. So the the king and the captain of archers would be on the hill over there, looking down. Now they can see the enemy before we can, so they know what's happening. The captain of archers would put his mace in the air like that, and that's his telephone message saying, come here. So the captains of the wings would go to the overall captain of archers and he'd say, right, turn round, you can see them coming. Now, when I raise my mace in the air, I want archers ready. And when I drop, that's you loose, right? Because they will be about the 45-degree mark. Yeah? So he's giving them the distance because the archers aren't going to be able to see them. Yeah? Okay. But he said, I want 100 men to shoot horse. And that's all they'll do. They'll only shoot no horses. So when you ride back, the archers are in lines. And they're not numbered. They're coloured because most of these people are illiterate. Numbers, what are that? But they know what black is, they know what white is, they know what green is. Yeah? Black is always the front rank. So he may pick the front rank and he may ride back, and the first thing he will command is, black shall shoot horse. Now the boys in the baggage train are bringing the archers in the front rank bags of horse arrows. Yeah? And then he would wait until he had his signal, and the moment he saw the mace go up, black, steady, because they're not needed. There's no enemy there yet, they can't see them. Yeah? Archers, ready? And they would come up. Loose! Pew! And they say loose, not let go. And it's like to stop. They say fast, stand fast. You won't hear us say that with the children because of course they haven't got a clue what fast is. We just say stop, which is something they could understand straight away. But you see now how they're controlling the shooting? Because a young archer like my son down there, he can shoot about 20 arrows a minute. I'm getting on a bit now, I'm nearly 80, so I can only shoot 12 a minute. So you imagine if you've got 3,000 archers up there and 3,000 down there, and you shoot for a minute, you've just shot a hell of a lot of arrows.
Yeah.
Which is why behind the army there were pyramids of arrow bags, and behind that was the wagon train. Boys from the wagon train resupplied the pyramids here, while these boys resupplied the archers, and that's how it worked. Yeah? And also what he might do, if he at the distance wants everybody to shoot, so you now have what's known as an arrow storm. Yeah? Once they get a little bit closer, he wants to control the use of his arrows. So he shouts, "White and blue only!" And then he might shout, "Green and red!" Now he's controlling the amount of arrows he's using, but he's still getting fire, continuous fire down on the enemy. Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay. What else do you think we do with this arrow? Yeah, what? That's right. Deer. That's what this arrow was really designed for, to hunt deer. It's called a broadhead, and it has things called flukes. Now the idea is we do not want to kill the deer outright. If we do, the muscles do this and the meat is solid, like that. Now we've got no way of softening meat. The only way we would do it is run it with magnets. Now you're going to throw half of it away. So what's the point? So you bleed the animal. So when this is shot, it's spinning. And how you make it spin is the feathers, they look straight, but actually they're slightly off. And when the wind goes through there, it spins them. Yeah? So when this goes into the animal, because it's spinning, it goes in and turns. So now this isn't opposite the cut where it went in. So now it can't come out.
Yeah.
So as the animal runs away, this is hitting the trees and the bushes, and what's happening with the head? Still cutting. About 100 yards the animal will drop, and we want that to happen because we don't want to walk 3 miles looking for this flaming deer. Yeah? And that's how we use that arrow. Something else archers might use. That's a chainmail coif. Can you attest, sir, that that is sharp? Yeah.
You used to as well before you before, because remember one thing you used to do a lot.
And that's what mail's for. Stop the sword, stop the dagger cutting. Wouldn't stop the point, but it would stop a cut from a sword or a knife. Then underneath you have padding. Yeah, and you have the padding because even if you can't cut through, if I give you a nice whack like that with a sword, I've broken through your ribs. So you have to have the padding along with the mail to protect you. So okay, that's called a coif. This is an archer's shirt, and only the gentleman can do this, I would think. So that's my shirt. Mind the lad underneath.
Yeah. So heavy, yeah.
Right? Now, if you were thinking about the Normans, theirs went right the way down. The sleeves would have gone right down to here. Okay. All right.
Is that heavy?
Okay. Yeah.
Very heavy.
When you see the movies,
Yeah.
they cheat. So try the weight of that one. Nothing, is it? Because that's aluminium. Yeah, but it looks good on the camera.
Aluminium. Look at that, yeah. Got it?
Okay. So when you watch Arthur on the television or Merlin, this is the mail that they're wearing.